Hello again, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Fireplace Chats with Jack. I'm Jack Talcott, here to open the mind and share some thoughts of what this experience actually is. Hopefully, it's coming through. I think I got everything set up. And I do intend to open the panel up for those who might want to join and have some discussions. Today, I want to talk about the ego, the self, our goals, and our purpose. You know, these are things that I really didn't spend much time thinking about back when I was living a life trying to survive, trying to fit in, trying to be responsible, trying to obey all the rules. And it really stopped to think about what was Jack's purpose of being. Yeah, I'm alive. Yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. I know I've learned a lot of things about things that happened before I was born. And I know I've learned about a lot of things that are supposedly happening elsewhere in the world. But I never stopped to think about why. Why do I have an ego? Why do we live? What is our purpose of life? In hindsight, when I was an alcoholic, I had plans, but I didn't really have any goals. I wasn't developing. I didn't see progress really. I had financial goals and minimal health goals, but I really wasn't working towards much. And so my life lacked purpose. I didn't see it. I was like everybody else, we get around on the weekends, maybe go out on the boat, barbecue, drink some beers. Life was great, so I thought. My ego confused me, and we live in an egoic and very confusing world. And this lifetime is actually our chance to change it. Wow, what a concept. What does that mean, though? Within us, we've got a being of who we are, our ego image, the reputation that we've earned or imagined for ourselves. There's that mental image of us, of who we are. And then there's the physical body, right? We experience things like taste and sound and pleasure and beauty through our bodies, and the pain and the suffering. So we have the egoic image of our mind, then we have the egoic form of our body. But within us is a hidden purpose. Within us is the true self. Within us is the undiscovered part of what we might become. So within us is the egoic part that we know, that was formed from the environment, from the history, from what was consumed. What was consumed in the past and what we experienced in the past became what we are today. So we're just a reflection of the past in a physical form. And that reflection can be deceiving, right? It's like a house of mirrors within our minds and within this world. It's all light and images and reflections and vibrations and energies. It's all a dynamic, like magical experience created for us. This life really is. And so when you spend your life trying to survive in the satanic realm of hell, punishment, debts, rules, control, chaos. Man, this world is literally nuts by definition. So don't be part of the insane, be part of the solution. And this is what I realized a long time ago in my job, where I was proud. I was proud of the job I did. I was proud of the work that I performed. I did my work with honor and with purpose and integrity. But I held myself back. God, I imagined so many failures that I created them in my reality. And I know that many other people are doing the exact same thing. Because I know I'm no different. Just like everybody else I know, everyone I've met, and I've been around the world, man. I met people from everywhere. And people are pretty cool. Once you get past their egos, once you get past their memories and opinions, you can learn about who they are and what they know. Uh-oh, I froze there for a moment. And what people know, man, we're living at a cool time right now. A really, really cool time in history where we've got so many blessings that we just take for granted. This fact right now that I'm sitting in Spokane, Washington, comfortable in my home, safe in my physical environment, reaching people that I don't know, sharing some thoughts of encouragement and inspiration, right? Because I really do care about you. I care about this world. And if you feel better about who you are and you discover your purpose in this world, well, you'll enjoy your life more. And if you enjoy your life more, you're going to share more joy and support with others. I mean, if there's a God who allows us to believe that we live, and then it created this reality for us to experience through this time, if there is a creator of space and time that allowed form and consciousness to emerge, then that means that infinite creator and science proves this stuff, man. Science proves God. There's no reason to argue about religions anymore. We can get past the nonsense and traditions and ceremonies, and we can each establish our own connection to the creator. And it's really pretty simple, man. You just gotta have faith. Have faith in what you know. Have faith in who you are. Have faith. Have faith in love. Man, see, love is the generative principle. Mark Passio, in his descriptions of natural law, he describes it better than I can, but he calls it care. Love is confusing, but we have to trust. We don't have to do anything, but I do. I'm encouraging you to become part of the we when I discuss these things. Because if we can believe in the existence and presence of an infinite loving creator, that we are the expressions of love developed through the patterns of life, of nature, and time. So if we are one with time, are we not one with the infinite? Holy cows, man. I friggin' love you guys. Hey, and yeah, I know how slow I talk. I recognized it. It's a pattern that I've developed being alone so much. So if you're not listening live, yeah, dude, speed me up and thank Eric later. Oh, man. This live, dude, it is a trip. A trip beyond what we know. And seriously, anyone who wants to have conversations is welcome to do so. My purpose on this platform in the YouTube and social media, it's for many reasons. It's because I care. I care about me. I care about you. And if your life improves and I get to be a part of that, holy cows, you know how special that is? When you get to change someone's life because you made a difference. And I guess each of us, we always do. I was reminded of that by a dear friend a few years back, little sister of my buddy. And she's just a tiny little gal. Apparently, we were at a concert as kids, and I helped her get over a fence or helped look out for her. And that one little moment that I really didn't even remember, I didn't pay any attention to, it mattered to her. And so when I learned that, God, I was endeared, obviously. And that's part of what we can all do with each other. God, we've been raised in such a cruel and punishing world, man. Mercy and forgiveness, they're taught in the churches, but they are sure not demonstrated in the homes, in the neighborhoods, in the judicial systems. Golly, geez, man. What has humanity done? How did we, seriously, how did this happen? I mean, I know how it happened. I know the history and the progression, and I even know why. I know what drove people to do it, but why is it still? I'm not alone in seeing this. There's many people who see the problems. I don't think there's enough people who believe in themselves. Okay? Please. To have faith in the unknown, to have faith in the divine, the creator that is with you. Have faith in you, but be honest. Holy cows, there we go. That's the key. Ego, self. The difference is honesty. I tell you what, when I started, just personally, when I started honoring truth, I mean, after recovery in the rooms of AA, there's a lot of emphasis on honesty, but it is, you know what? There's levels of truth. Each of us, while we may know things, we may not know things, if that can make sense to you. I hope it does. Truth has many different perspectives, right? And with many different perspectives externally, it can also have many different meanings and levels of understanding within us. And this is, I mean, the thought that comes to my mind, it's hard to explain, but in my mind, I set an image of what a Christed man would be if I was. And then I felt a level, a change. I recognized a difference in the state of my mind, in the calmness, the silence. And so recently I had a conversation with someone who asked me about a transformative date in my life. And I gave December 30th, 2018. It was a date I achieved a different level of silence in my monkey mind patterns. My thought patterns had changed. So to me personally, I identified that as a beginning level of understanding the Christed consciousness, which is understanding our natural state of being. I've been learning more since then, quite a bit. And Don McDouglas, great question. Thank you for joining. Have you ever read the Quran? I've touched the Quran. I have one. I've opened it and glanced. I've listened to more people. My education has been more from listening to others, scholars, listening to the different perspectives for and against. The Quran sounds like a beautiful book, but I do not know it. The most fascinating one for me recently, and it's kind of ironic. I think there's messages for others to learn from in the progression of my life and what I'm offering for others to consider. My own progression and relationship to the divine, to God, it actually came through initially physical sciences and history. It was all kind of jumbled together. I had a really, really fast awakening into a whole bunch of different things, and my mind got blown quickly, realizing how little I knew and how much knowledge is actually available for us to discover. So my own path of education was originally through history, which led into the philosophers, the ancient philosophers, then into the ancient, the Hindu yogis, and then the progression into the Buddhic philosophies. In the end, though, it has brought me to the love of the Christ. And the Bible is, I've been listening to a lot of different presentations on the history of that book, the translations, the evolution. It is a fascinating book of literature. And thank you. What's fascinating is Muhammad was illiterate, couldn't write or read, and yet our history is absolutely just fascinating. And there's so much truth to be found in these religions, but the religions are like pointing the finger towards God, and people are just like grasping on the finger like these little children, afraid to let go of their beliefs, afraid to actually wander out and discover a true personal relationship with that which is. And the funny thing is, God is so amazing. It's right in front of our eyes. The truth is so obvious. It's so clear. It's unmistakable. It's unavoidable, actually. And yet this is where our ego minds come in, back to the original topic. Our ego minds think we can pick and choose the information we accept. What? You don't accept my words that I am who I am, Paul Unslaved, and others? Wow. The automatic assumption of a liar is an obvious sign of insecurity. And I know we're all here to strengthen each other, so I don't know if Paul is tuning in today or if he'll hear my words at another time. I know he was introducing himself on a different platform, and I considered going to join him there, but anyone is welcome to join me. If I don't entertain other conversations, I'll probably just wrap this up pretty short. Because serious, I'm here trying to offer encouragement for you. Push your limits. Discover your purpose. Create a meaning for how you're spending your time. Right? Because your time, your attention, your talents are the most important resource. Oh, and I pinned a comment too, I think. Can't remember exactly what it was. inspired from what I was seeing of that lovable guy Paul enslaved earlier. I called him a tool for chaos. He did. I know my role. My role here apparently is to help trigger people's egos. My ego destroyed my life. My ego, that and reminds me of a quote from someone. What is within us can either destroy us or create us to build us into something big. I used to withhold what was within me. I had a lot of negative thoughts, anger and hate, a lot of judgment. All my judgment, all my opinions, all of that crap kept me away from gratitude. If you want to simplify your life, you find gratitude, because the ego's not grateful. It's trying to survive, trying to figure out how to win. Fucking nonsense, man. So we can be a tool for chaos and destruction, and that's what the ego is. That's what the Antichrist is. That which opposes peace, opposes love, opposes truth. The opposer, the accuser, is the adversary. The adversary of growth, of love, is the limiting and obedient and controlling, selfish ego mind. It's a silly game God created, I guess. And it's up to us to figure out what we do. We can let our minds and opinions, words control us, or we can recognize that things are what matter. And the most important thing in your life is your feelings. Hey, nope. I'm interested in what the future might bring. I'm not going to lie. There was an egoic part of me, part of Jack's desires and hopes, was that I might get a conversation with the Paul enslaved character. I knew he was caught up elsewhere. He's perfectly where he's supposed to be. As am I. As are you. If you can accept that you are perfectly where you're supposed to be, today, right now, if you can settle into being you, not the body, not the image, not the reputation, not the problems. If you can be the time, the experience, the energy of you, be the bright light energy of you at this time of the world, so that we can create a brighter future for those who might come behind us, right? It's really actually pretty simple. It's our ego minds that have complicated the shit out of everything. We don't need all these rules and budgets and all these false mechanisms and systems of control in order to live freely amongst each other. This is nonsense. And I think if we, as people alive today, particularly those in this YouTube community who have been brave enough, kind enough, to come online and expose themselves, their personalities for others to learn of, to criticize, and to judge, it takes some self-confidence and inspiration to encourage people to do this. And so I want to encourage those who are. There's many different platforms, I'm thinking. The We Are Awake people and TV and Christos and Paul and who else? Oh, saw JG got a chant, not JG, Benton. I didn't really make much agreement with that guy, but seems like he's got a good heart and some stuff entertaining, I guess. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not here to promote people. I'm here to promote people. I want people to start promoting themselves in kind and loving way, prove themselves worthy of following, worthy of appreciation and dedication and sacrifice of time. But who's to judge what is worthy? We can be tools of chaos and destruction while we are here on earth. We can be we can consume and produce and fit along with the ways of the past, or rather than be a tool for profits and a tool for chaos and destruction, we could, as an alternative option, follow the way of Jesus. And don't overcomplicate the way of Jesus. It's pretty simple. Praise God. Praise God beyond. Stop creating limits on the perfection of our Creator. Because when we imagine imperfections of what the Creator has revealed, well, who the hell are we to judge? Who the hell are we to judge what someone else's path might be? We're not here as judge punishers, or we're here to be instruments of inspiration and creation with each other. We were raised in a punishing world. That's where the hammer mentality comes in. Oh, there's a problem, bring a hammer. Bang it till it numbs and goes away. All right. That's one method. I prefer a more gentle method of communication, of inspiration. I encourage people to be gentle with themselves. Show yourself some honesty. I guess I did ramble a bit on this, and I'm sorry, but the best way to show your self-respect is to respect the words that come from you. If you don't pay attention to the words you say, your egoic mind will just take you away, man. And if you're smart and you got a lot of wisdom in you, your egoic mind will just take off and confuse the shit out of other people. But you're saying logic. You're following logical reasoning, and it makes sense. So the inner body it recognizes the truth. It finds no disagreement with the facts, but the rambling is a distraction for confusion that provides no relevance or value. I know I said a lot there, but if it makes sense, it makes sense. Okay. And we need to be purposeful with our time, with our words, with our thoughts, with our actions and deeds. We're here to create the best life you can remember, right? The only way you're going to have good memories is if you do things today, you take chances that maybe you wouldn't have in the past. Good ways. Don't be selfish with the self-care, but give yourself some self-love, right? Embrace the Christ within you as far as your levels of forgiveness and mercy. I mean, the one that helps me is I imagine this dude lived a perfect life. He went around serving others, teaching others, did the best he could to help the confused, man. Help wake them up to the slave system that they'd been obeying. And so here's this man, he did his life. He knew the outcome in some way. I don't know what he knew. He knew what he knew. But he did what he did, according to the stories. And the stories I heard is this guy was beaten, abused, ridiculed, mocked, fucking hung there. And he says, forgive them. What? What? Holy shit. And then I imagined too, because I tried to imagine the perfect being, right? Compared it to myself. In my own confusion and past development, in my own experience with the confusion of others, and my own level of understanding, my own states of confusion, I yelled at people who I loved. Part of me told me it was a good idea, that this was the only way to communicate with them. I scared the shit out of some people. I know I did. Not with the words I said, but with the energy I offered. I made no threats. I've harmed no one. But I know the fear of God was placed within some of these people, figuratively. And perhaps literally. Like I said, I think God is using me. I used to be a tool for the government, for the public. I used to be a servant, resentfully, but obediently. And then my past was what it was, and I chose what I did, and today I choose to be an instrument for the light. I offer you the light of peace, the light of love. I offer you my experience, my personal experience with the way of the Christ. I mean, I don't claim to be him, but I do claim to understand his devotion, his praise. And who knows? I mean, we're all here to change the world in our own different ways, right? And the God I believe is not limited by possibilities. Have you seen Mother Nature, how diverse? I mean, the life in our oceans, man. You go from the crazy stuff you can find in the oceans and the waters to like the amazing insects and bugs and, you know, the microbiology of nature, to the bigger animals, man. Elephants, those things are cool. I've never really seen one close, but no, that's not true. I rode on one as a kid. Dude, these lives, man, there's so many cool things. And so in the infinite realm of time and space and the universe and molecular level, atomic level, to the galactic level, are we even real? Am I actually sitting here alive today, almost 50 years? Golly geez. I'm almost 50 years today. Not today, but these days. Welcome, Chuck. Good to see you, brother.
How you doing, Jack?
Brother, I
Doing
am
good?
blessed. I am. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. I was debating whether I should wrap up, continue on with my day. So I welcome the company. Thank you, brother.
Hey, you want to tell me about your time in the service, what you did?
Yeah, I tried to take, you know what? These days, I'll tell it the truth
Well,
because
I had 14 years myself.
what branch, brother?
Army.
What was your MOS or specialty?
Specialty was electronic communication repair.
You were an ET guy.
Uh, Jack of all trade. Yeah, anything that had to do with communications.
Very cool. Was that the 93 series?
Well, originally, I'm going back in the late 70s. It was a
Oh, dude.
26.
Yeah, you're talking 50 years ago. Sorry to interrupt. It was
50. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. It has been about 50 years. Jesus Christ.
holy crap, man. Yeah, time. It's like, whoa, holy shit. Where'd this life go?
Yeah, I don't know what the new series is. They've changed so much. What
I
about
don't,
you?
I was actually in the, when I joined the army, I didn't want to join. I did it because I needed a job. My mom was going to kick me out of the house and I'd be homeless. Or, she let me stay until my enlistment date.
Yeah,
so so I got a job when I was 17 in the army and I was like, I don't
me
want to
too.
I
I
don't
was
want to
17.
where you were in you hold on, let me get your time straight in my head because you served in a different time than I was. That was
Well, I served from 78 to 85. I got out for a couple of years, and then I was in from 90 to 96.
oh really? So you came back in when I served. I was in 91 to 97.
Okay, I was in on that time.
That's interesting. What brought you back in?
What's that?
You said you did some time, you got out, and then you chose to come back in. You remember
Yep.
why?
Desert Storm. The original before the Iraqi War. The original
The
is what
original
got me
push.
back.
The
They asked, and I came back. Yeah.
see, brother, the first Bush got me into. I don't blame him, but his leadership got me into. That's when I enlisted. Was the first Bush propaganda. What I did, I didn't want to be an 11 Bravo. I didn't want to be out there hot. I was
Doing
lazy, dude. I was lazy. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be the grunt, right? But I didn't know what I wanted. I knew I was smart. I scored real well on the testing, and so I thought I'll go into something that'll help me when I get out. And so I went into the personnel administration of the rules. So I worked in what was called the S. What's that?
Go ahead.
I worked in what was called the S1, the personnel administration part.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But for when I enlisted, I got my station of choice was my enlistment. And my mom had told me stories about my dad serving in Germany. And I was already drinking for a couple of years pretty heavily at 17. And so for station of choice, I went to Germany so I could drink legally.
We're at in Germany.
I did a couple of years in Vilsec. It was a tanker battalion
Yep.
just outside of Grafenwehr.
Oh, I spent 6 years in Germany.
Did you? Where were you at?
Yep. Well, I started off in Frankfurt, then I went to Kaiserslautern, then I went to Wurzburg, and then I ended in Grafenwehr.
Very cool. I loved Germany. It was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, my time though, my drinking was, dude, I showed clear signs of an alcoholic at a young age. And most of my time in Germany was spent drinking at the bars. And
I never drank till I went to the service.
Did you?
They're the ones that taught me how to drink.
Brother, when I got into a fight in the barracks one night when I was drunk and the other guy was drunk. Dude, there's blood all over the floor. I got my ass beat. MPs came, took us away, and they required me to go to alcohol treatment. And I remember First Sergeant Funk. He is an old crusty dude. A man who I would die for. He's just a man you love and earns respect.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Top Funk, he tells me, I was down. I was upset. I just had to face the commander, and, I was screwing up. And First Sergeant says, don't beat yourself up too hard, kid. He says, I got half of this unit is in the program and the other half belongs there. You're just switching to the other side.
Yep.
Oh man, life is interesting, brother.
Yeah, I think it was 80. I'd been in Germany for about a year, and they thought it would be best if I went home on 30 days leave to see if I could sober up or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was either that or get an Article 15. So,
the past, that's what I was talking about, kind of what I was getting into before. And I don't know where you tuned in or if you heard much of what I was saying before you came up.
Yeah, I was listening. I was just eating dinner at the time.
Hey, good for you. What do you think? I mean, really, I think the solution for our world is for each of us to start improving, right? Setting goals of improvement of ourselves so that as our lives improve, we're improving the lives of those around us. I think self-development, self-improvement, learning to master our egos and picking a purpose for our future, right? I think there's so much hope in the future, Chuck. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain anymore. The government, if they got back to the original roots from many moons ago. What's up, Moosey?
Just want to say hi and see how you guys are doing today.
We're
not coming to clown or nothing. What'd you say?
Welcome.
I said we're trying to get drunk. Do you want to join us?
Oh, nah, man.
No.
I don't do that no more.
Hey, actually, you know what? This is kind of cool. And Moose, Michael, honestly, if you're here to chill and have fun, please. I love talking with you, but I don't want you trying to impress other people. We were actually
I got that.
We were actually just talking about our old days of drinking, right? We were
okay.
having a public AA meeting here, I guess.
All right. Can I start us off with the Serenity Prayer then?
Hey, brother, please.
There you go.
All right, here we go. We're gonna do it like a formal meeting here. All right, everybody ready for this?
Actually, there is no affiliation whatsoever with that program.
Oh yeah. There's no affiliation because we're not allowed to do that on the media, and we're not allowed to do that. No affiliation. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen.
Brother, those words have so much truth in them. That's actually what I was talking about previously, is truth is a mysterious topic, right? Because the objective truth has many different perspectives, many different explanations, and within us as well has many different levels of understanding.
I'm listening.
Well, to bring the relevance back, what is the only thing we can control?
Ourselves.
Nothing more. Nothing whatsoever more. But so what does it mean to control the self? What changes?
Well, I mean, we have the decisions we make every single day. You know, do you pick up a drink? Do you not pick up a drink? Do you drive your car recklessly, or do you drive your car, respectfully? Do you talk to people with respect or and dignity or whatever?
But who knows? That's the thing. I mean, I'm not asking I'm not trying to be weird or, you know.
I think we all know. I think we
Well,
all have it inside us, like
amen.
the compass is inside us. I mean, we just have to, surrender ourselves to it and be guided by it, the spirit.
Beautiful. I think what I lacked understanding in before was understanding the compass. The compass within us is actually those feelings, the feelings we don't want to talk about, the feelings we show and express in our words, right?
Yeah, sometimes we have a little bit too much fun and it's at others' expense.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying, I mean, the topic of what I wanted to bring today is to discuss the ego and the self, right? And with the idea of setting goals of improvement and getting clarity in our purpose. I mean, today's purpose is for self-development and that type of focus and discussion, so that the past habits we've overcome and the tools of recovery, brother. I believe when I was sitting in the rooms of AA, I remember listening and thinking, God, I know so many people who should be hearing this wisdom. Right?
Yeah.
What the
You know
program
what?
is. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it was funny because where I used to live, there was somebody who came into the meeting yesterday, and she lives 2 blocks away from where I used to live. I thought it was pretty interesting. Like, it was an interesting coincidence that we happened to be in the same room at the same time, and we both came from the same area. Because she asked me a couple questions or whatever, and next thing she was like, "You were my neighbor." I was like, "What?" So
Hey,
Very small world.
you know what? Honestly, the way I've changed my mind and the way I view the world is I pay attention to time. What is time revealing to me? And so if there's a synchronicity, brother, the other thing I really am starting to, well, it's what I lack in my own life, but I'm encouraging others, is community, relationships. Those are the keys for us to change, not only as individuals, but together we can change the world if we start making the right relationships and connections.
Well, I know I seen this tried back in the late 60s, early 70s when the first hippie movement came about. And it didn't accomplish much other than turn people into a bunch of marijuana smoking fools at that time. LSD, marijuana, whatever the drug of choice was. And they accomplished nothing in reality.
They faced much opposition as well.
As just like today,
Right. So I don't, you know, I'm not, I'm just, well, I'm just saying things the way I see them. We can't let failures of others hold us back from success. We can't let our failures of ourselves from the past hold us back from success. We got to believe that success is available in order to take the actions necessary to make it become real. And I believe what you described, I just heard something recently. Australia, somewhere they changed the rules so that mind expanding drugs, mushrooms, and MDMA, I think. Mushrooms, they're using psychedelics for the purpose of overcoming depression. And it's exactly what it's a wonderful tool. These hallucinogenics are wonderful tools. And what you were just saying, yeah, that was part of a smaller awakening in the 70s. People were expanding their minds and thinking beyond, hey, maybe this doesn't have to be this way. I'm part of that today. I think we can succeed.
I'm of the old school when it comes to those type of things. If I got to take me out of myself to find a higher power, then I'm not reaching the higher power.
Yeah, but I agree with you and I disagree because mushrooms don't actually take me out of myself. They actually, when I took them, they actually made me face myself. They made me face all the demons, all the trials, all the tribulations that I went through. And it sounds weird, right? Uh, but I was always against drugs, always against drugs. The only thing I would ever do is smoke pot. That's the only thing I would do. And one day I took those mushrooms and I sat there and I cried for like 8 hours straight. I went through every single like bad traumatizing thing that had ever happened to me and I let it go. I just let it go. And then the next time I did it, I started like I started feeling the plants and the trees breathing and stuff. And that sounds crazy too, right? Sounds totally nuts. But they do. They do breathe and they do
But
suck up sunlight like us
you can get that same feeling without
without
inducing.
drugs.
Yeah, once you reach a certain level of spirituality.
I got to go dump this real fast in the compost pile. I'll be right back.
Okay, he's
Hey,
out chasing hookers.
no, he's, you know what?
I know, I know.
He's living kind of a cool life by the sounds of it. He's learning a lot of lessons, and all of us are.
Looks like a
Um,
beautiful place he's at.
oh yeah, and what you were saying regarding, I didn't take a lot of drugs before, but I've had my experimentation, and kind of what I've impressed, what I consider is I think what that does is that actual physical experience of losing complete control, right? Once your mind starts going on its trip, man, you're like, whoa, there ain't shit I can do. I mean, that was my experience. And in doing so, it brings some humility, right? That holy crap, man, there's stuff can happen.
Holy.
Yeah, right?
Well, I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, but for
No.
me, I'm wired wrong because if I try to do any kind of drugs, I get sick. I physically get sick from anything. So that was never an avenue for me.
Then know yourself, brother. Yeah, if
Yep.
that's not you, it's not you. And that's perfectly cool. The other thing though too is I've seen a lot of people, and maybe this is where the 70s got a bad rap, that image is that people just like get lost in the trip, in the experience of tripping, and then it just turns into entertainment instead of expansion or discovery. Everyone's on their path, man. We're figuring it out. There's ups and downs to all things.
Well, you know, LSD was invented to cure alcoholism,
I've
believe
heard
it or not.
I've heard similar things. And
As
that
you
the
can tell,
creator,
it was a fail, though.
well, dude, our past. I've been putting this between people I've been discovering recently, actually in these panels. um, Flow State, you familiar with him, Moose or Chuck?
Yeah,
Who?
I know flow state.
I haven't.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think I've talked to him much, but the other day he was on a panel and he dropped a link to a different YouTube channel. The topic was about pornography and the chemical compositions and effects of our brains, and the connections between how our bodies relate to porn and chemicals. Dude, it's putting I'm getting all these bits of information and all the pieces are coming together so clearly, man. There has been evil intent in the development of our commerce and society. There is so much damn evil out there. People need to start paying attention to what's being consumed.
Speaking of evil, I think that a lot of us help perpetuate that. Um, but I think that there's a purpose for it. There's a purpose for it. It serves a purpose because let's say something bad happens to you, right? And you're on that, you're on a lost path, right? You're sailing in the seas, and you don't know which way you're supposed to go, right? Your compass is broken, right? And then something happens, and you're like, wait a second, I know exactly which which direction I'm supposed to go now. And if you didn't have that bad thing happen to you, or that person or thing or whatever do that bad thing, then how would you know? I think it's all part of the creator's plan, man.
Dude, that is so true. And that's actually what I was reflecting on in my own life recently. Dude, some of the things that I thought were the most tragic turned out to be blessings. I didn't realize how hung up I was on needing approval from my friends and my family. I had no clue how much that actually had control over me.
It's part of that I want to fit in.
It is. And see, this is what our society has used against us. It has instilled insecurities through the religions and the church and the schooling systems. Our schooling systems have conditioned insecurities into the children. Those insecurities in the adults have been used in a psychological warfare against the masses. We got to help each other overcome our insecurities by being kinder and nicer, more encouraging, but extremely honest. We got to stop making excuses for each other. We got to stop lying to each other. And Moose, this is where, brother, you and I have a different
I
experience
know.
and opinion on our other brother, Paul.
Yeah, but we do. But I also have found that though people have been there for me through this whole ordeal, I have found when I'm trying to find my own way back into doing what I like to do, I have been ridiculed again. And they're almost doing the same thing in just a different manner. The last 2 days, if I showed you my messages, which I won't because they're private, um, I have gotten probably 20 or 30 messages that were just totally out of line, totally out of line. And so that's why I decided to come back here and be cool. You know, uh,
Glad you
you
did.
were you were brought up. You were brought up, and you were going to end up being the entertainment of the day again. But instead of being the entertainment of the day, I thought maybe we'll just have a fellowship, you know?
Brother, thank you. I love it. I mean, because fellowship is what I've been seeking. I'm not seeking these egoic pissing matches and controversies, but Humble Moose, please. I've said this, and Chuck, I've said this. I don't know how to say it more clearly. Yes, my perspectives and my beliefs are so far unconfirmed. Okay? I am untested and unproven in what I believe that I can accomplish. There's a lot of things stacked against me, but here we are. And I actually probably have more faith and more hope for our future than anybody else I've met.
Yeah, you know what? I'd say you do have a good outlook on the future and stuff. But I think that, I am still stuck in that thinking of, I think we need to take care of what's at home, what's closest to us. Like, I need to make sure my relationship with my wife is good, my relationship with the people around me are good. I need to make sure I'm taking care of business, Like right now, I'm about to clean some shrimp. So you might have to mute me if it gets loud or whatever. I'm not going to take offense to that. Um, So, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say, Jack, is that you have some things that you might have to take care of right now. And hey, what's up, JG? I'm sorry that you took offense to whatever I was saying.
Dude, you're fake as shit, man. You try to offend people,
Hey,
and
whoa, whoa,
then you
whoa.
fucking
JG.
back up and backpedal.
It's not even like that, dude. You're just taking it too serious, man. Like,
Dude, you
Hey.
play too much. You play.
JG, you're welcome, but I don't want, this is not going to turn into an argument center again. JG, actually, JG, you and I are probably seeing similar things. I've heard many of your comments, but not all. So I'm not saying you and I are in agreement, but I resonate with many of the things you pointed out. Okay? Criticizing the presentation and the purpose of some of the others we've discovered.
yeah. And I criticize myself all the time, man. I'm the hardest person on myself. You guys can't be harder on me than I am.
Dude, I'm
Well,
a criminal. I got you guys all fucking figured out, man. I've been a criminal
why?
my whole life.
Are you willing to change?
I did change, but I still can read you guys big time. You guys play too much. Jack, you got to get help, man. You need professional psychological help.
What if,
And when I say that, I mean that. Like, you got to get away from all the bullshit. Get away from all these bullshit people and just fucking get some help, man.
do you realize you're describing yourself and you're offering me nothing?
I've gotten help, man. Jack, I'm watching you.
No, I'm talking about right now. Let's have a discussion like a man. I mean, you were kind enough. You presented your face in the back, and I'm comfortable having a conversation with anyone who wants to have a discussion, not an argument.
No arguments. You got to get help, man.
Okay, that is the opinion of this character named JG who wandered into my experience, and I'm listening.
Look, man, a quarterback gets hurt, right? What does he need? He needs a doctor, sports doctor. Sports doctor is going to really help him. You get what I'm saying? I see you asking for help, and you're asking for help to some arrogant fucking douchebag like Paul, and you got all these yes man and dick riders around, all these cornballs.
Hey, JG, whoa, I'm going to interrupt your pattern because that's not today. I've asked for nothing. As a matter of fact, I am here to offer myself and to share my time and education to help others gain clarity in their goals, their purpose, understand their true self.
All I'm saying, Jack, try to, find a good shrink or something. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I'm being genuine and serious. Talk to somebody
Hey,
that can help you with your psychological thinking. It's not what you think, it's how you think. All right?
right, right. Jay, you're Jack, right? Can I, JG?
Yeah. Jack, real name's John.
All right. Well, hey, brother. For whatever reason, the divine brought us together. I hear the care, what you've offered, and I've seen the passion and heard the reasons. I think I'm trying to understand who you are, but you don't know as much about me as you've imagined.
I understand that. I'm just saying, I heard you the other night. You're asking for help. The only person giving you solid, thorough
All right, but
help
we're back. We're back.
was Mitchell.
I
Mitchell
appreciate that.
he's an ace. All right, I can spot an ace.
He's a
Mitchell's an
cool
ace.
character.
Huh?
I think he's a cool character. He's
What I'm saying is, he's an ace. In life, you got people around you, right? Who's an ace? Right? Only a few people. I'm watching Mitchell. He's talking to you. He's an ace. I'm not trying to kiss his ass. I can notice it, right?
You're sharing that you resonate with what he offers. I get that.
Yeah. So he's somebody good you got around, right? You don't need Paul enslaved around. That guy ain't shit, man.
JG, hold on. While I appreciate you being generous with your opinions and my time, this isn't a platform to complain, or I'm not sure what we're doing. I'd actually like to talk to you, and if you're willing to open your mind, that maybe we could have a different conversation than about what you've imagined about me and what you think about other people. Is that possible? Can we have a conversation just like here and now? Like,
Nah, man, I can't be on here. I just wanted to, give you some advice, just say something real to you, because you got too many people just they're just playing games with you, man. You're just getting toyed with.
Right. Hey, you noticed that too. There's a lot of people playing games with me that clearly don't have, well, the evidence makes it quite apparent that my best interest is not their focus. You and I are seeing the same things.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, he's being real though. He's being real. There's nothing wrong with getting a shrink, nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing.
Sure.
There's no shame in it. It's like going to AA.
Moose, right. But here's what you're refusing to acknowledge or consider: the fact that I've devoted my time, my energy, and I make a lot of claims about understanding the human mind. So rather than explore what is true about me, you're suggesting I go talk to a miseducated, state-approved stranger for a different method of support. God bless.
Hey, I didn't say it. I didn't bring it up. I was just saying, I went and I thought it was all bullshit too, but.
No, I've actually, dude, Moose, if anyone knew of my story, I've been to counselors, I've been to therapists. There was one dude, he was so fucking obviously miserable and depressed. I was like, I stopped caring about me. And I was like, dude, can we talk about you? You seem like you're really troubled, man. It's like, these people are just people with different educations. They don't know shit. They're employees. You know what? Let me not generalize or mischaracterize the mental health community. There are many wonderful and amazing people in that profession.
It's just like teachers, man. There's right.
It is.
I mean, there's some really good teachers out there, like some amazing teachers, and then there's some that just do it for money.
That's
just like anything else.
That's exactly right.
So I'm not telling you to do anything. I was just saying JG probably saw, from where he stands, he thinks that's a good idea, and it's good to have people to talk to.
No, Moose, I totally understand the opinion from an outside observer, one who doesn't actually listen to the words that I say. or one who doesn't actually go listen to the words I say, where I'm not under constant argument and hostility. For those who only see me in these repeated patterns of confrontation and disagreement, yeah, they're like, dude, what's wrong with that Jack? He's a fucking idiot. That makes no sense whatsoever. Yep, they're right. It
What are you
doesn't make.
listening to over there? Music? Oh, okay. My bad.
Hey, I came on, I think I shared what I wanted to regarding motivation, the identification of the ego, the self, some encouragement and motivation for developing goals, for identifying your purpose for your time. Chuck, I appreciate you coming up, sharing what you had. Moose, you as well.
Yeah, man. Are you taking off?
Yeah, I know Paul does the hangout stuff. I'm not
Yeah, that's a good
really
idea.
I'm not really looking for just hanging out. You know, it's conversations for purpose, and you know, maybe even in Paul's recent book, that Mitchell character. God, what's his name? The 50 Cent guy,
Curtis Jackson.
Curtis Jackson.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Paul. He still receives my attention. I don't have any care to be subject of his negativity anymore.
Well, Jack, that's why I started off the way I did with our conversation. I was trying to learn who you were, not what you were, but who you were.
You know, Chuck, I appreciate that. If you're interested.
Why don't you go on about that so we can learn, if you don't mind?
Well, I appreciate that, but I don't know what to. This was a thought I had earlier too, before I came on the platform. What I've recognized is I offer many, many things, but I also talk often. And so one of the things I noticed observing Paul and Wizard and the panel and myself, it's our ego insecurities that break the silence. It is our ego that interrupts our calm. Because if we just be without thought and just be natural, you know, I'm Jack, I'm here. The insecurities of our egos cause us to talk a lot. I've recognized I've been talking a lot, not nearly as much as I've been accused of talking on Paul's platform. But that brought me to the question, what do I offer?
Well, that's I'm sorry.
No, please.
I'm just trying. I'm trying to open you up a little bit and try to learn a little bit more. So maybe I come to a better understanding. You know, I think if I come to a better understanding, other people will as well.
Yeah, we got to know where you come from to know where you're going, if that makes any sense.
You know, thank you. This is probably actually the opportunity I've been seeking. Thank you. So I'm not sure. We all have stories, right? And this is what I realized. We all have stories that brought us to here. And while my story, I think, dude, honestly, I believe that God, through me, is creating one hell of a story. I used to spend time writing my book. I started writing the book of my life several years ago. And then I realized the first half of the book is already written based on what I've done. While I am a good author, I'm a decent author, writing is not something I enjoy. I enjoy speaking. And so then I thought, okay, well, how can I use the tools of speaking and what I've learned to try and do more than what I have? And where I was, at this time was 18 years at the United States Postal Service, and you know, a year and a half into sobriety, after a decade of severe alcohol abuse. a broken marriage, a child who I loved and adored, and who loved and adored me.
What year did you get sober?
I got sober in 16.
Now earlier you told me that you had a drinking problem starting in the 90s.
No, I started drinking when I was 15. That was 88. So I drank from 1988 until 2016.
So that's more than 10 years.
Well, the last 10 years, my marriage ended and was over in like 2006, and I allowed that attachment and that confusion to destroy me. So from 2006 to 2016, before that I was a heavy drinker. I drank too heavy too often. But after the marriage left, I went through deep depression, isolation, and I used drinking, and it got bad.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
At the end of my drinking, dude, it was so bad. I had to, every day I'd go through the shakes, right? If I didn't have that drink, I couldn't even drink. It was like, what the fuck? I remember in my garage, I got a beer fridge in the garage, and I kept a bottle of whiskey in the freezer. And I always kept a glass poured in the freezer. So when I get home, after I'd get home from work, I'd go to the freezer and get the glass, put it on my trunk, and I'd sip it down until the shakes went away enough for me to drink a glass. It was like, fucking A. And dude, I felt powerless and weak and shameful, and I hated life, man. I couldn't die. It wouldn't end. So I was inspired by some other people, and I was sick of suffering. And so I checked myself into detox in 2016.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired.
I actually was. And you know what, though? It was I was so shameful. My mother was unemployed, and so she had been living with me for a while. And I was so shameful that the night before I was supposed to check in, I had to finish that bottle of whiskey. You know, here I am, 40-something years old. My mother is driving me to detox because I can't be a man and establish damn self-control. I'm sorry, Mom. I am so sorry. I don't know. The sobriety, though, while it helped me started opening my mind to more healthy choices, I'd never been sober, dude. Since 15 years old, I knew life, and the only way I could have fun was drunk. I mean, if I had plans, I had to get drunk before I had plans, and then I had to have plans to get drunk. And it was like, how do you live? How stupid and insane is a question is that? How do I live as a man without an attachment to an intoxicant?
I drank for 25 years, I know.
How long have you been sober, brother?
Since 2000.
Oh, good long time. A couple decades under you. Good for you.
23 years in April.
Hey, good for you.
I just look at it as each day. I don't try to dwell on the fact that I got a year or 2 years or 3. I just take it day by day.
I used to,
Go ahead.
I don't know how I used to be, but you know what? Even in the rooms of AA, as I started establishing the program, I was working with a sponsor, did the 12 steps. And
did you do all 12?
Yeah, yes and no. I did them his way, and then I did them my own. It turns out, holy crap, not to change the subject. My own father, I didn't meet until I was 15. When I met my father, he was living in a halfway home. He was a recovering heroin addict.
Oh, Lord.
So what's funny though is it turned out that there's some connection, even though he wasn't a part of my life, there was some connection to his date of sobriety to me. I can't remember what it was. I have to go back and see. But after I got into the program and I started doing amends and started learning about me, I thought I'd reach out, try and re-meet my dad, and we reestablished some conversations. And he is a cool man. He's spent over 30 years in the program. He's a treasurer, I think, at his local chapter, and he helps with the administration of the program. And I guess in his time on the streets, he befriended a lot of people with disabilities. Some friends who were deaf, I guess, really touched his heart. And so I think he just retired from the VA, but he's been doing programs with AA trying to help the homeless, or the deaf homeless, and doing some pretty cool stuff. Sorry, the reason I brought him up is he was also a historian in the AA program. So the dude is like this wealth of knowledge and traditions and stuff that I look forward to the day when me and him get to talk again too.
Well, it's a fascinating history if you go all the way through it.
It really is, dude. I can't
And I'm going
remember.
to tell you right now, Bill was as egotistical as they came, even in the program.
I've heard many stories about the original guys, and actually I heard that I didn't hear LSD was part of it. I heard mushrooms was part of the inspiration, but I don't know. There was something hallucinogenic in
LSD is what he got hooked on LSD.
He got hooked on it. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. Hey, this is kind of the thing I realized. I used to see the world so different. I encourage you, look at your life as a story, right? We're all just stories. The characters of Bill and the others, they started that program of AA, and later it turned out we needed what they learned.
True.
Right?
True.
And so we're just stories here learning lessons for the other generations to learn from.
So I have a question for you. Why did you stop going to AA, if you don't mind? I'm not trying to pry, but I'm curious.
I appreciate it. I tried doing that, return and help the next guy. I tried sponsoring people. For whatever reason, since 2018, people don't understand me. And what I offer, it causes confusion and it's not welcome. So I used to go to the meetings and I'd share these, hope and inspiration, some messages of faith, and it's like I'm totally ignored. And people avoid me physically. And so it's like, all right.
The stories you tell have to be your stories. They can't be a story about a topic.
Right.
They have to pertain to you for others to believe them. Because I sponsored many of people, and I got just as much sponsoring them as they got out of me. I helped them and they helped me. But I had to speak from the me perspective. I couldn't take a subject and try to expound upon it just for the sake of a subject, because then it just turns into rhetoric. If people can't see it's coming from you, that it applies to you, then they're going to disregard it. That's just been my observations along the way. I could be 100% wrong.
What I've been learning, Chuck, is that, the wisdom is said many ways. You can bring a horse to water. You can present all the facts. You can try and entertain. You can try and yell. You can try and scream. People are going to accept what they want. So the reason I stopped going to meetings is because I wasn't welcomed or appreciated. You know, people don't want.
I'm not trying to point a finger here, but are you hearing a similarity between what you just described and what you're running into right now?
Oh, yeah, it's been a pattern that started 5 years ago, and I'm trying to find people willing to break the pattern.
Well, what caused the pattern? What changed?
My energies and my perspective. As I became, here's what I think. I mean, take the words for what I can explain this many ways, but I think God is using all of us.
Just use simple words. It doesn't have to be fancy.
God's using me as an instrument to share the truth of energies, of consciousness, of love that I know. So for whatever reason, as my energies changed and I became less angry and less critical, more loving, as my self-love increased and my love for all others grew, people started withdrawing theirs from me. So it's been bizarre, dude. I don't know what I'm looking seriously.
Did you retreat into yourself too much?
I don't know. Everyone's got an excuse to blame me for what they did.
No. I'm not blaming.
No. I know you're asking a question, and
yeah,
what is the reason everyone reacted? Everyone's got their different excuses. This is what I mean. What I'm talking about, when I'm saying the words that I'm sharing regarding how to identify the ego and the spirit of Christ, the representation of the Antichrist. What I'm teaching is what I have learned in this lifetime experience. I mean, I'm not saying these are my words. I'm not regurgitating things I read. Which Paul Unslaved's face just came to my mind. That man is a wealth of books he's read. He knows a lot of words from others, but he lacks the personal experience in order to put the spiritual messages into practice.
He's definitely got his own form.
Well, it's my what I said earlier today was inspired by my observations of Paul on his other. He went and visited himself to a different platform today.
Benton's.
Yeah, I was tuned into Paul's show, and he went and invited himself somewhere else because he heard his name, and that's an excuse for him to come in and take control and, show everybody who he is and make sure they see who's in charge. Watching him.
That's on Paul.
I know. But watching him is what inspired the words that I typed earlier. We can be a tool of chaos and destruction, or we can be an instrument for refinement and creation. We get to choose. We get to choose what we offer to people, whether it's loving and kind, or it's a distorted, manipulated version of reality. Paul is offering a lot of truth, but there's a lot of bullshit within it that's unnecessary. That's the ego that others have been encouraging and ignoring for some reason. In him, people ignore his egoic behavior and his clear, obvious, insecure need for attention.
Well, I think that's where the line is a little blurred, because the entertainment is what it's considered, and and so I think that if you saw him outside of the show, he would be very similar, but I don't think it would be, it might not be as funny. You know what I mean? It might be a little more serious. It might be a little more, down to earth. But that's how he makes his living. He makes his living doing this, and so I don't. It's hard. It's hard. It's like Howard Stern, man.
It's not hard.
Sometimes it's like oil and water. They don't mix. Sometimes spirituality and funny don't mix. Sometimes seriousness and funny don't mix.
Chuck, actually, from personal experience, I completely disagree. Let me present the case for God. Okay? God has an incredible, incredible sense of humor, because love is funny. Love is enjoyable. Love brings laughter. God is actually our best friend. Our best friend of the world is God, and my best friend is pretty funny. Humor does attract the spirit within us, as does wisdom. But see, what the character of Paul is doing is he's using his spirit of wisdom and I forgot the other word I just talked about. I see a good man who is empty and without clarity on his purpose. He's found a way to get paid to sit around and hang out and complain. So while I admire the man for being creative and understanding the psychology and well enough to play the heartstrings and get people to support and enable his self-glorification, because that's what he's doing. I mean, he's not a platform that's got hundreds of thousands of followers. He's a big fish in a small pond who's wasting his talents and energy gossiping and restreaming. It's like, how is this shit real? How is he being promoted as though everyone should listen to him? And I'm here sharing time and personal experience regarding personal transformation, self-development, the messages of spirituality from a kind place, not one that's punishing, judgmental. That's not me. So how is this real? I think God brought me and Paul together to help each other. You see what he's chosen to do with our time together. And like I said, watching him earlier, he triggers people's egos. Insecure egos, they love his approval. Moose, this is where you're coming in, brother. Okay?
Hit him hard. Hit him hard.
No, I'm not hitting anyone. I'm presenting things that should be considered for yourself, because I'm just an opinion. Dude, my words don't mean shit unless they're true. So I envision many people like that old cartoon of the bulldog, the little yippity puppy next to it. Remember, like Bugs Bunny series? I can't remember the character.
Bounced around all the time.
Yeah. What are we gonna do, Max? Come on, Max. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Whatever. Paul's a lovable character like that, and he's got a lot of lovable characters around him looking up to him because he presents the image of a strong man in one aspect. However, a man is a very dynamic creature, just as a woman is, right? We're both, what I think with me and Paul is God brought us together to do something pretty amazing in the world. I know what I've done, what I've learned, and what I believe for myself as far as the future. And I see Paul as a man who triggers egos. I watched it, man. He showed up, and those other people, I think I understood what they were saying, and I didn't necessarily disagree with them, but holy cows, they just started going off
Oh, it got crazy. I know I couldn't understand a word being said.
Well, and that's what I realized. That's what Paul does. He does trigger the insecurities in others, whether purposefully or through his actions. It is part of his pattern. But not every problem requires a hammer. It doesn't fix everything. So myself, I used to be a tool for the system, and I was a tool for many others, but I'm an instrument. You're an instrument. We are all instruments towards a better future, towards refinement of who we are and what we think. These challenges bring us lessons and allow us to refine our image of us within us. And I shared the scripture from the Bible earlier about the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. The reason we have billionaires and tyranny in this world right now,
Because they're smarter than me.
they used our emotions against us. Our emotions and care of others. We don't want to risk hurting our families. We don't want to risk jeopardizing their security, their safety. We don't want to risk. Right? So our emotions have been used against us. And then in order to go obey a military boss, in order to go obey a corporate boss, you've got to deny your inner emotions, your inner spirit. You're denying who you are when you go do things you don't want to do. Does that
I think
make
that's a lot of his point. So that's a lot of his thing. I agree with you.
He promotes a lot of doing what you don't want to do, and I agree with that. But your life cannot only be focused on the nots. Life is so much more than anything we've imagined. We're here to discover and create, right? To nurture and conserve. We're not here to produce for popularity. Oh, that was a thought I had earlier. We've been conditioned as hunters and gatherers. Holy shit. Our ego, primitive beast nature, we've been conditioned as hunter-gatherers. That has been manipulated into brainwashing us into competition, the hunting part, competition, survival of the fittest, the gathering part. You gotta have the most wealth, the most toys, the most things to show off, the peacock feathers, right? Hunters and gatherers. What's that?
I said I could see Moose with a peacock tail.
I could see me with one too. I get it. But check this though. It's like, I think it's a healthy balance, or sometimes unhealthy. But for me, it wasn't healthy to be there a lot. But then other times, I've learned so much about myself. Like, if you learn about your weaknesses and what triggers you and stuff like that, I think that you can work to make yourself stronger. It's like, it's not, your emotions aren't like your physical complex. Like when I look at myself, I'm like, I need to lift some weights. I can look in the mirror and say, dude, you need to get back on the weights. But you can't look into your emotions, and you can't look into like your triggers. Like you can try, but until somebody like says something to you that pisses you off, and then you because I've reacted just like reacting, like somebody said something to me and I look at them and I'm like, who the are you? That right there is a weakness. Reacting, I think, is a weakness.
Brother, you're absolutely right.
I try to keep in mind, like it says in the big book, if somebody angers me or upsets me or what have you, I need to look at them as though they are a sick friend.
They're
Therefore, I
confused
don't have to
person.
get all caught up in the emotions.
That's challenging to do, to
Yes,
create,
it is.
to have a relationship with attachment and detachment.
It's hard.
It is that unconditional love. It's tough, but it really is. It is the way. Hey, and what you were talking about, the triggers, right? Here's what I know for a fact. If you want to know yourself beyond your ego, pay attention to the words you say and look for excuses and blame. If you're blaming others, you are wrong. If
You know how I use ego? I use ego is I'm thinking of what somebody else is thinking about me, how they perceive me. And if I don't give a shit how they perceive me, then it doesn't matter.
Chuck, I'm going to try and remember this. I learned this in an online NLP course regarding how we present ourselves with others, right? I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. What I am is what I think you think I am.
And that's ego.
Does that, I mean, did you follow that? It's like
Yes,
we
sir.
project and assume, and then that becomes what we show. And it's like, what the fuck? It's crazy.
Exactly.
You know, it really is simple. Once we know, once we become aware that that is what we need to do, is pay attention. That self-awareness is the key, right? The key to recovery, the key to know thyself is to listen and pay attention to what you're saying. Something you said too about allow people to be who they are, right? Love without the attachment.
Yeah.
I've been watching and learning from a safe distance to people who I've interacted with, right? Paul and the other characters on that channel.
Well, somebody just called us a bunch of Fruit Loops.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There's lots of opinions, and you know what? I congratulate Chuck and you, Moose. I congratulate both of you because I assume you had to be aware that, all right, bringing my face next to Jack's, there may be consequences and comments about me. You had to have known that.
Well, as long as I don't do no harm to nobody, I have no problem.
I know. That's how more of us should be. We don't have to make problems with everybody just because we imagine them.
They want me to shut up now. I will.
Yeah, no, I think you're good. I think you're good. I think it's funny because, you know, a lot of people have a lot to say.
I'm still here, Jack.
I see that. And I think Moose's internet you just froze up there for a bit.
I saw it. A lot of people have, you know, they have something to say all the time. It doesn't matter whether you do the right thing or you do the wrong thing or you do, you know, whatever you do, people are always going to have something to say, you know. Someone's not going to be happy with you. And
that's right.
You got to work to be happy with yourself, and you got to, you know, like part of the whole AA thing, the first step is like leaving it up to the divine, like whatever, you know. The cool thing about AA is like it doesn't have to be a Christian God, it doesn't have to be a Muslim God or none of that stuff. Like, you know, if you want it to be the doorknob, you know, if that doorknob's your higher power, is much as that sounds like an idiotic thing, it's like, you know, just give it up, you know, like just let it go, you know. It's it takes a lot of courage to go on a panel and talk and takes a lot of courage, especially when you know, like you said, I know I'm probably getting heat, but I get heat for doing whatever I do. I get heat no matter what I do, and so it's like
Exactly.
I just
Well,
gotta be okay with myself.
I got pulled into the Moose Paul fight that happened. We all know about that. And
Yeah.
and after I thought about it for a little while, I went to Paul to clean my side of the street. Not to kiss his brain or his butt, but to clear my side of the street for being wrong in the way I perceived things and was taking sides. Some of the people felt that I didn't humble myself enough to him, but I
Right.
did not cause no harm or injury, but I was just cleaning up the mess that I had made.
I saw what you did, Chuck, and I'm sure I didn't pay close attention to the reactions you got, but yeah, I'm
Oh, that's
sure
right. Don't bother me.
people expect complete humility and repentance to the God Almighty of Paul Unslaved. If you want to return to His graces, you must lick the boots and be worthy of His. Fuck off, Paul. I'm sorry.
Wait. Let's not go there though. Let's
I
not do
know.
that.
No, hey, these are my words, not your guys's. I saw what you did, Chuck, and actually it kind of reminds me of what you did is a man of honor. I respect that, and I encourage others to do the same. It's not a matter of kissing up. It's not a matter of anything. It's a matter of clearing your conscience, making you feel right about you and your behavior. So, brother, good
No,
for
it's
you.
about cleaning up the part of the mess that I made.
Yep, that's
It's
accepting
not about how I
responsibility.
feel.
No, you're right.
If I reacted on the way I feel, he'd hate me worse than he hates you.
Well, I guess you're right. What I'm referring to is cleaning up our side of the street. Now, one thing I noticed though is I've done that. I've gone back and made amends of things I judged I did wrong. Dude, I judge myself far more critically than most people do. So
We always do.
what I'm pointing
We
out,
all do to ourselves.
going back to a guy like Paul, it serves its purpose, but it probably isn't necessary. He's a guy who forgives, and well, I don't know. Fuck, I don't know. That I can't speak for that man. That
Yeah, he
dude,
does. I would say
yeah.
he does. I would say he does.
Not with me.
But
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't let shit go. He doesn't accept when he's wrong. He doesn't know when to surrender to the facts.
well, I'm just gonna say that my apology came off pretty good. Like I said what I needed to say, and people took that, and people still hated on it. So it is what
I
it
know.
is. But
It
with
is what
you,
it is. Yeah.
he has been very clear, that he doesn't want you going over there. And I mean he does,
That
but he
was just
doesn't.
recent. That was just recent that he started doing that. I mean, I paid attention to what he says, and I go where I am. I pay attention. I abide by the wishes of others, but I do not submit myself to control.
I understand. The dude abides.
Well, he did
I
kick me
mean,
off recently, and I've not attempted to go back. I did try commenting, I think. I don't remember the timeline in the order, but I did try commenting recently to see if my chats were still blocked. Because if I can communicate to him through chat, I got no problem. I'm just trying to. I've been in the past trying to find a way to communicate with him, but he wants to start disagreements and never put anything down long enough to produce. I didn't want this to be a platform or a time spent complaining. I was honestly hoping to have a conversation with Paul today. I considered inviting myself up on the Benton platform in order to do so, but That's not my place. And Benton didn't show himself to be a fan of mine.
That
And
was too chaotic over there, Jack.
well, I understand the chaos though, and this is what people don't grasp. I understand far more about what's going on than most people see because I pay attention. I pay attention to the energies and the emotions to understand the beings who are
Okay.
spewing the words. Does that make sense?
I
I'm
missed that.
listening.
What I was trying to say is I pay attention to different things than other people. I know the value of energies and emotions and the state of being, because the state of being, the composure of emotions within one, that reveals quite a bit about the trustworthiness of the information. That's why when someone's triggered, just getting all profane and angry and hostile at you, you need to allow yourself not to let that affect you, because all that is their vileness, their emptiness, their insecurities coming out to attack. You don't have to allow yourself to be attacked. So
Yeah, I've been ignoring it. I just ignore it.
well, this is the thing though, is as I'm watching the chaos, the emotional reactions of those people on the other panel, I knew what was going on. I mean, I don't make the claims of Paul to know everybody's past and know I don't make that bullshit. But I understand people and I care about people. And there was chaos happening there for those people experiencing it to learn from. Now, if they want to learn, they will. If they want to go off thinking they were right and blaming the other person for what they said and what they did, they'll keep going on in their delusions.
Yeah. I mean, even Dick doesn't get along with Paul 100% of the time. Even Wizard sometimes doesn't go along with Paul all the time.
Well, you know what? I can analyze this panel for any who want to understand it. I've spent a lot of time looking at it. I do understand sociology, psychology. I also have my own personal experience with the divine. So maybe that can be a subject for another show. But we've gone on almost a couple hours here. And I think this has been fun, very enjoyable. I appreciate the chance.
Conversation.
It's been fun. And hopefully, thank you, seriously, allowing me the opportunity to kind of share who I am and where I'm coming from. It's been nice. And
go ahead.
And yesterday I asked Paul very clearly, and it wasn't the first time I've asked for help. I feel like I have a lot of value and things to offer and share. Obviously, I don't bring the entertainment flair or I don't have the same personality of some of these other people. If they worked with me, they could help me improve. If they listened to me, they would know what I know and could present what they want in their own flair. But until the people with the talent want to stop arguing with me,
good luck.
I'm going to continue building me on my own. And my purpose on this platform, like I said, it is to encourage others to open their minds up to more than they used to believe, right? To surrender themselves into greater things, greater goals, greater purpose, and allow yourself to relax, man. Seriously, there's great value in learning how to relax without drugs, without intoxicants.
Well, I know I can't help anybody if I don't clean up my life first.
That's where I'm at.
Otherwise, I'm just giving them advice that I'm not using. And that serves nobody. And I had to clean up my life and get my life back in order to be of use to anybody, including myself. Because I shit on a lot of people along the way. And I created hell and havoc on my wife, on my kids, on my co-workers. And it took me a while to clean that damage up. But I didn't do it to gain their friendship or their love. I went with a goodness in my heart to clean the mess up. And I told them, I'm sorry that I've done this to you. If you forgive me, that's fine. If you can't forgive me, that's fine. I know what I did. And if my house ain't in order, I can't help nobody else with their house, no matter how big or small the problem is.
The easiest way to get our house in order is to stop creating disorder. It's actually quite simple. When we allow ourselves to be within the still nature of who we are, we don't allow our beastly desires to control us. We don't allow the ancient intelligence of our emotions. We use our emotions to guide us to greater purpose. And brother, hey, let's wrap up here. I'm going to take the final.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Back's I'm sitting.
From what you were sharing, for others who might be tuned in too, yes, the self work, it's a must be done. We're never done doing the self work, right? We got to continue. We are processes of evolution. We got to continue to strive to change, and not just strive to change. Stop denying change. Stop limiting change. Push the limits of your creativity. Push the boundaries of what you think you can accomplish. And brother, enjoy the shit out of your life. Enjoy the hell out of your life.
Have a good night, fellas. Thanks for everything.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you, brothers. It's been
We'll
been
see you
fun.
guys later. Have a good one, Jack.
You too, brother. To those who tune in at a later time and share your time, I hope you receive some value in the entertaining, the inspiration, and the group of men sharing their experiences together. Not promoting the program, but it is a big part of the strength of the community that helps men and women in recovery change. So if you know someone who is suffering from the darkness of addiction, if their lives are being controlled by a substance external to their desires, and you see them creating harms in their lives, please don't yell at them. Don't bitch at them. Try to have a conversation with them. Let them know you care. Let them know they have reasons to care. And let them know that hope is out there. Help is out there. There's solutions available for us. Every problem we can imagine, there's nothing new under the sun. For every problem you can imagine, there is a solution. Sometimes it's to stop imagining there's a problem. The trick comes in learning the difference. Anyway, to those who joined and to those who might listen, thank you again. It's been an honor to share time with you, and God bless you in your adventures. Choose love. Live without fear.